Shake it out. It's early. I don't want to keep this stuff a secret. So, all right, good, good. Go ahead and take a seat. I'm going to tell you a quick story before we go ahead and move on to the history of baseball. Hopefully it comes up here in just a second. Great. It's about my friend Jose. Now, this was back when I lived in Puerto Rico. He traveled to Miami to go watch a Major League Baseball game, and unfortunately he got there and the seats were all filled up. But since he was a visitor, he's from out of the country, didn't really know what was going on. The general manager of the stadium was like, "Listen, I'll take care of you." Gave him a seat over by the flag post. And when he came back, we were talking. I was like, "Hey, you know, how'd you like it? How are the Americans over there?" And he said, "Well, you know what? They're great, great people. They even sang my name at the beginning of the game." And I was like, "Well, what are you talking about?" And he started singing, "Jose, can you see?" and all this stuff. And, well, it was really weird, but it was a good story. I liked it. And well, this will bring us into the history of baseball. Something I honestly believe that we all should follow. Baseball is a big tradition in the United States. It's been carried on. It predates the Civil War, believe it or not. And it's just a big part of our culture. Now, moving on, here we go. Our objective. Sergeant Kennedy, can you go ahead and read that, please?
Without reference, explain the history of baseball with no instructor assist.
Thank you very much. We're going to be going over the beginning of baseball. We're also going to be going over the Civil War era. We explaining some of the stuff that went on there. And then leagues, which is also one of the main things that goes on in baseball today. The beginning. Town ball. This was actually in early 19th century America. This is what a baseball was actually referred to. To begin with, baseball actually piggybacked off of the English game called rounders. And that's how we started becoming baseball. Town ball actually referred to towns, basically. This town here in New Jersey would play a town in New York, and that's just how they would do it. They really didn't have set teams yet. The father of baseball, and as always with any sport, you have an inventor, a creator. This one we have Alexander Cartwright. He was known as the father of baseball because he actually wrote out the first set of rules for baseball. Aaron Wallace, what do you think some of the rules that he wrote we still have today?
Strikes.
Strikes, very good. He invented the 3 strikes policy. Also, he invented the distance designated between bases, which is actually 42 bases. The first game ever recorded in baseball history took place in Hoboken, New Jersey in 1846. It was actually one of the teams that Alexander Cartwright had called the New York Knickerbockers. Crazy name, but really good team. They went ahead and lost their game, and it was also against another New York City. This was referred to as town ball at the time. Now, we have a lot of good things going on at the beginning. We have everybody discovering this great new sport. We got this guy who knows all about it, who's telling everybody all this great stuff. But as always with a great thing, there's always somebody that comes in and does a buzzkill, which brings us on to the Civil War era. Now, the onslaught of the Civil War drastically reduced the number of ball clubs around the United States as able-bodied men went ahead and started joining the war effort. Aaron Wilson, why do you think there weren't as many games going on at this point in time?
Because there was a war going on.
Great, great. There was a war going on. Now, one really good thing is Union soldiers were already used to playing baseball. And they were going around, as far as they were traveling with their units and all that stuff, they were going around and playing the game on their off time. Obviously, they weren't killing people all the time. So here we go. I got a handout here that I'm going to pass around the class. This is going to show you in the blue shaded area what pre-war baseball, where pre-war baseball was. And in the red shaded area, it's going to show you where it was after the Civil War. So that way you can get an idea, and that'll caveat into my next section. Now, thanks to the Union soldiers that we have going on, playing these games and taking care of business, obviously with the war, we also had a really great thing is once the end of the Civil War came around, we got all these other places, thanks to the Union soldiers, that know how to play baseball. They figured it out, they've discovered it, and that's all they want to do. It's the latest craze. Now, we just can't have all these random people playing baseball as much as we want to. You want to have some organization to it, because some disorganization, it's just kind of going to mess things up, and people are going to start making their own interpretations, which will bring us into leagues. Now, the first professional league began in 1857 with the birth of the National Association of Baseball Players. This was the first professional team within this league was the Cincinnati Red Stockings. I don't have a specific year for the year they started out, but these leagues were also self-sufficient. They, every once in a while they charged admission into the games, which at the beginning of the actual baseball era, when this all started out, they wouldn't charge admission. This would just be like, come as you are, come show up, we're going to be playing some ball. Come play if you want to. It was a very open game, but they started becoming a little more structured, and they started adding all these rules and stuff. Now in 1876, we had a couple of issues. A lot of the people within the National Association of Baseball Players were doing some insider gambling. They were saying, oh, well, I know the Red Stockings are going to be playing the New York Knickerbockers, and well, I know the Knickerbockers have a couple really, really good players, so I'm going to go ahead and bet on them, and they would spread that word. A lot of unfair things were going on, such as that one. Some players were getting paid, some others weren't. Some players were getting sponsorships, some others weren't. And people didn't like this. In addition to that, they were starting to do liquor sales, and with prohibition, there was no bueno. Now, why do you guys think that people wouldn't like this? I mean, other than the things that I listed, let's get a discussion going. Why do you think, Aaron Bruce, that I would want to change around the leagues if these guys are doing something that I don't like?
To make it fair, to make it kind of straight across the board, so everybody gets paid, either there is or there isn't alcohol.
Okay.
To make it fair, basically.
Gotcha. What do you think, Aaron? Sergeant Fertig, I'm sorry.
Kind of along the same lines as Aaron Bruce.
Okay.
I think it wasn't fair to those individuals that weren't getting paid. For them to be playing with individuals that are getting paid, whether it's $100 or $2,
Of course.
it's not fair for them.
No, perfect. I love that answer. Great answer. So, and this brought on the National League. The National League became the first structured professional baseball league. They established a commission within themselves to regulate prices of games, so they would start charging admission. They also started scheduling games, so you wouldn't just be wondering if on a Sunday afternoon what's going to be going on. Are they going to be playing a game or not? Now, they also did contracts as well. They had contracts with the teams, they had contracts with individual players. They made sure that there wasn't going to be any inconsistencies within the sport. Which brings us to the birth of the American League and the Commission of Baseball. Now, in 1901, the American League was stood up along with, like I said, the Commission of Baseball. The American League, when they came around, the National League didn't like that. The American League had better policies, better standards, and the National League wasn't having it because they were losing a lot of players. So they took the American League to court. And what the court decided is, hey, we got these two great leagues, let's keep this going. So they made it so that these were going to be the only two leagues for the rest of the history of baseball. They took the monopoly away from the National League. And then they also established a three-man commission to regulate the rules and policies between the two leagues and make it so that they can peacefully coexist. Because we don't want a civil war going on within baseball. We just got over it within the United States. Now, in addition to the policies changing and everything with the National League, Sergeant Williams, what do you think is going on, and why do you think the American League would be taking the players from the National League?
Because they need players.
They need players. Airman Siebert, what else you got?
I want to say they maybe got into the recruiting process and maybe wanted better players in their league, and they maybe seeing that the other league had better players.
Okay, good. Well, another thing too that the commission looked at was this situation that the players were being, taken out of the National League clubs and stuff like that. So what they established is trading, proper trading. So that way, if I was playing for Sergeant Kennedy's team, but I wanted to go play for Sergeant Moore's team, I couldn't just say deuces and go to his. I would have to start an actual process to get that going. Now, in summary, we've had the beginning of baseball. Alexander Cartwright was the father. What did he establish? So, Aaron Ringer.
What did he see? The National Association of Baseball Players?
Almost there. He established the first set of rules of baseball. But good. I'm glad you were paying attention at least that far. Next, we got the Civil War era. Once again, we covered there that there were dwindling leagues. Not many people were around as much because people were dying in the Civil War. But we also discussed when it picked back up also. And then we covered leagues. Aaron Bruce, what's something you can tell me about leagues?
National League was first. They started the American League, and the National League didn't like it, which that led to the commission, the forming of the commission and Major League Baseball as a whole.
All right, great. Well, gentlemen, ladies, there's honestly no better feeling in this world to know that you've done a little part to keep an American tradition alive. You can see today that there aren't many of those still around. So I challenge you, when you guys walk out of this room, you go to your families or your friends or whatnot, I challenge you to talk about it. I challenge you to make a decision and keep the tradition going. Go ahead and take a 5-minute break. You guys are great.